Mayans MC, while a tad unorthodox, is one of the best shows on TV right now. It stands out as a unique addition to the normal everyday type of shows and has created a huge fan base of viewers who are ecstatic to see a potential 5th season of the biker gang show. However, it is more than halfway through July 2022 at the time of this recording, and there is still no official renewal announcements for the 5th season. So what should fans expect? In today's video, we are going to unmuddy these waters and give you a clearer picture into the 5th season of Mayans MC. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. First things first, is there even going to be a 5th season of the show? The answer is really complicated, so the simplest answer I can give you guys right now is yes, no, and maybe. Good start, right? But in all seriousness, things do seem a tad fishy in terms of the continuation of this show, because after the finale of the 4th season, the show's creator and showrunner, Elgin James, very clearly stated that this was not the end of the show, and that he did plan on coming back with at least one more season, and possibly even more seasons after a 5th one. James is dead set on continuing this show and making sure that the full story gets told, regardless of how much longer the show needs to go. On that same note, however, James has been very clear that he does not plan on dragging the show along either. He wants to tell the story that he has all planned out, but that is it. He does not care about side plots or any filler content, he just wants to finish the story. But that is exactly what makes this entire thing so weird. If there is a plan in place, and it will not take too much longer to finish, then why has there been no announcement for the 5th season? If it is such a straight shot, why hasn't it been made already? The show runs on FX on cable, so it is pretty much entirely up to them if they want to give the green light to James to allow for the 5th season to be made. Moreover, would James want to make the show if the cast was not on board to keep going? There has to be a snag somewhere, so where is it? Next up, is there a potential issue that is somehow stopping this show from continuing? If the show's creator is on board to finish the series, that doesn't mean it is all sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows for the 5th season. In fact, the creator being on board is essentially the bare minimum for getting a show off the ground. So where is the snag? My best guess would have been that the cast was not all returning, that some of the main cast had decided that they did not agree with filming the 5th season and that they do not want to return to the show after the hiatus it took after season 4. However, after some digging, we found out that this is not the case at all. In fact, James has already pitched the synopsis for the 5th season to the entire cast, and all of them jumped back on board and are actually excited to get this show on the road, pun very much intended. The cast is just as fired up about the 5th season as James is, which means that, at least from a talent standpoint, nothing is holding the show back from making a 5th and presumably final season of the show. So my second guess would be the network. I would have to assume that the network has no interest in airing the 5th season of this show and that they want to put another show in its slot. Moreover, there is a chance that the streaming sites that have the rights to stream previous seasons of the show want nothing to do with having a 5th season of this show on their platform. However, at least from the streaming platforms that have agreements with FX and James to own and showcase the show, they have also been shared the pitch that was shown to the cast of the show, and they too have agreed that a 5th season should be made and also shown on their platform once the series has premiered on FX. Speaking of FX, they seem to be the reason that this show has not been greenlit and sent to production. FX has released no official statement and has not renewed the show for a 5th season, but from what we have seen and what we have been told, they have literally no reason to hold this show back, unless they don't want it. Are they trying to move the rights of the show to another cable network, or perhaps move it to a streaming platform permanently? FX has partnered with a multitude of platforms to stream the show, including Disney Plus in the UK and Canada, Hulu in the United States, and Sky Go in other countries that do not have the show on the aforementioned platforms. So I would have understood if FX simply could not get one or more of the streaming platforms on board, but clearly that isn't the case. So why won't FX just greenlight the show and continue this awesome story? Next up, is there an issue with the plot that is preventing FX from renewing the 5th season? If you're anything like me, I am sure that you are confused about the fact that season 5 of Mayans MC isn't halfway through production right now. But there is clearly something that we don't know that is preventing this thing from getting going. So is it the plot? I want to say that James's pitch is not just some hot garbage that the cast and crew loved, but is actually awful. I mean, if the cast didn't like the pitch, they would simply refuse to come back. Or they could have just lied through their teeth and said that the show is great just because they knew that after one more season of work, they would never have to work on this show again. But because the streaming platforms that I mentioned earlier got on board, I have a feeling that this is far from the truth. In reality, I think that the plot is amazing. I mean, a show that takes place after the incredibly famous Sons of Anarchy show that kicked off the craze of motorcycle shows can't possibly fail, right? Unfortunately, due to the show not being officially renewed by FX as of this recording, we do not have a plot synopsis yet for the 5th season, and we probably won't be getting one until the show is halfway through production at the very earliest. However, due to the way the 4th season ended, we could likely guess where the show is going. My guess is that the personality turned from newly minted leader EZ is going to be the spark that sets off a dangerous powder keg that results in a war between the Sons of Anarchy and the Mayans. This would certainly result in an incredibly violent and explosive season that would be a perfect send-off to this show and this entire story that started with the 1st season of SOA. We also would likely see a bit of redemption arc from EZ, as this is most likely the final season of the show. It would be very cool to see him come full circle and either die a hero or return to his older ways. Of course, we really have no idea what the plot could hold, as there have been 0 details leaked, despite the fact that a full pitch has been made by the creator of the show. But regardless, there will have to be some plot threads that are heavily tugged on come the beginning of the 5th season. I mean, we did find out that Creeper's girlfriend has some loose lips in the fact that she is an informant, a twist that a few people saw coming. Does this mean that the entire operation is over? What will this mean for the crew and their relationship after they are undoubtedly fractured from the fallout of this probable tire fire? Obviously, we are just going to have to wait and see, but there will be some crazy plot lines making their way through the 5th season of the show whenever it comes out. So when will the show come out? Honestly, my guess is as good as yours. With the show not yet receiving a renewal from FX, technically, the show may as well be canceled. Effectively, there is no difference between the show being canceled by FX and the renewal being dragged along like this. Except if the show were canceled by FX, that would mean that another network could pick it up and greenlight the 5th season, so maybe that would be the best thing for the show. In the state we are in as of this recording, we are a long time from seeing the 5th season of this show. I mean, production, shooting, and post-production all have to take place before we even get a lick of this show, and because the renewal process could still be a few months away, there is a chance that we don't see this show get back on TV until late 2023 at the absolute earliest. The more likely scenario is that we see this show in late 2024, so I hope you all are ready to wait. That's all we have for you guys on the channel today. Thank you all so much for watching.